Welcome to the Pet Loss Companion. I'm Ken Dolan Del Vecchio. I'm here with my friend and co-author Nancy Saxton-Lopez. This is a program that we usually do live on Thursdays from 6 p.m. Eastern to about 6:30. We're pre-recording for May 1st of 2025 because I'll be traveling. And so this is a program that we'll be putting online, but it's not going to be live. And this is a program that is really a way for us to extend the conversation that we started with those who read our book. And it allows us to have a dialogue as close as you can in reality in some ways. And the way that we do that is we read letters that people send us. We read the emails that people send us, and then we will respond to them with an email response. And we also, if it's okay with you, we will read them on the program. So when you write to us, please let us know whether or not it's okay to share on the program and in our Substack where we post the actual correspondence. You can reach me at kenddv at gmail.com. You can reach Nancy at nancysaxtonlopez at gmail.com. All of this information is in the description that's attached to the program. And there are a lot of ways that you can support our work. One is to subscribe to the Substack where we post correspondence and the beautiful pictures that people send us. And you can send us a gift through Venmo or PayPal or subscription. Also, this program is a friend of Dakin Humane Society, which is a multi-service shelter and adoption program in Springfield, Massachusetts, that offers a whole bunch of programs to help us with issues that arise around the human-animal companion bond. And one of those resources that they sponsor is a group that I facilitate every month on the second Tuesday of the month from 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The RSVP link is included in the description, and people join this meeting from all over the world, and it brings a whole bunch of different perspectives, not only from different places, but from different places in the process of grieving. So if you think it may be helpful, please join us. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe. And whether or not you've subscribed, please also give the program a thumbs up, maybe a comment, because a heart, yeah, because these help to raise the visibility of the program in YouTube's algorithm and get it in front of other people who will likely benefit from it. And finally, we'd like you to know that we have an affiliate relationship with a company called Bereave. Bereave makes these really nicely crafted granite memorial plaques, and they're the kind of thing that you would put on a gravesite or a memorial garden or inside where you keep mementos. And if you purchase a plaque through the link in our description, we get a little bit of a gift back as part of your purchase. So please, if you think this may be helpful for you, please consider purchasing it through our link. And Nancy, do you want to just set us up for this show?
Yes. Ken, you got a letter from Suzanne that you're going to read.
Right.
It's a very short letter, but it's packed with a lot of things that we're going to be talking about after.
Yeah.
Really about more of end of life, especially serious end of life in a very quick time frame, right? So a lot of times when animals come in and the pet parents think, oh, they're fine, or maybe they've had some medical issues, but they're fine, and find out that their animal needs to be euthanized that day. And then how does that happen? Why does it happen? How do the pet parents feel? What happened? What actually medically happened? So there's a couple other things in this story that Suzanne, this email that she sent. Yeah. So Ken, you want to?
Yes. So
share that.
Suzanne writes, Dear Ken, I wanted to send my deep appreciation for last night's call. And she's referring to that monthly pet loss support group. That was my first experience with the group. It was interesting and helpful. I've been listening to your and Nancy's podcast every night since my dog River died on March 1st, and I have found both your content and voices to be healing. Thank you. River was a stray from Barren River, Kentucky, and he was 9. During the meeting last night, it occurred to me that many or most of the last moments of our pets and the decisions surrounding them are traumatic. I was wishing for us to concentrate on the love lived, and that's so hard to do when it is not the gentle goodbye that many of us hope for. River died unexpectedly after surgery at Cornell the night before he was to come home. I keep reliving that horrible 3 a.m. phone call, and I wish I could stop and replace it with good memories. I mentioned Cornell because I saw your diploma behind your head. I'm
Still
class
going
of
now.
I'm class of '78, and my son graduates this May. So a fellow Cornellian, Suzanne is. Another area that I wonder if folks struggle with, or maybe it's just me, is the idea that pets grieving keeps our pets closer. I worry that if I stop, it means I've forgotten, or it tells the world that I am, quote, over it, end quote, so they all can feel better. I will never be over it. Feeling better feels disloyal to River. Lastly, I wonder if anyone's having trouble with self-care. I live in upstate New York, and the warm weather is finally here. Going out to walk without River feels like an affront, and I have kept my blinds down and not ventured out. He should be here to enjoy it, so why should I? I'm not eating right, and why should I? Thanks for the opportunity to write to you if any of these themes have not been covered in your group recently. I'm happy to bring up if you feel it might be appropriate. Best regards, Suzanne. So I responded to her, and we'll eventually get that on our Substack. But she does raise so many questions. And the reason that we really want to share this story is that they are so iconic
Yep.
questions. They are the questions that come up over and over and over again. They're very common. They're very typical in our grieving experience. So we'll talk about each of them. And the first one, and Nancy, I'll ask you to comment on this, is that she keeps reliving that horrible call, the 3 a.m.
Yeah.
call.
Because that was something that she would never, or any of us would ever want to hear, especially not being there, right? That there's another piece to that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was what happened with my Tashi. I got a call. Oh, she's not doing well. And a half an hour later, she died. And so that just immobilizes you immediately. It's so emotional. It's so upsetting. And that you will never forget that call, right? I mean, because now your baby, and you're not even there, has died. Now, he died in surgery,
Yeah.
I mean, yes. I mean, that is something, unfortunately, that happens. Uh,
Yeah, and it's very similar to what we hear so frequently. It's very much analogous to, I can't get the last image
Out of my head.
of them out of my head. I can't get that image of them having just died. However that happened, it's just kind of seared into my head. And what we recommend is that you try not to fight with that recollection, and also try not to grab onto it too strongly, but instead to just let it happen. Let it happen. Experience the recollection in whatever
Then
form
move
it
on.
takes. Yeah, let it pass out of your thoughts,
Mhm.
and know that it's going to come back periodically. But if you try to just take what I think of as a meditative posture and sort of acknowledging that it's there, and then just kind of letting it drift away when it does, you're likely to experience it to lose some of
It's potency.
some of the staggering intensity of it over time. And every time we have this conversation, I feel like a number of images come through my own
Right.
head of the losses I've experienced, and now they're just there. They're always going to be there. They are extraordinarily powerful in terms of our ability to hold on to them, whether we would prefer to do that or not. Most of us do, but over time they just become
Yeah.
more routine. They're just part of our life experience, and they come and go, and they don't provoke anywhere near the same intensity of grief.
Well, that's the intent. We create to have those images or those experiences part of our day-to-day life. They're integrated, right, over time.
Yep.
And
Yep.
also, parts of this I was thinking as before we got on is so many pet parents have such difficulty at this end of life, especially if it's not expected,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, I've worked in 2 ERs now, and when an animal comes in and if okay, maybe it's a UTI, right?
Hmm.
Or maybe it's just a digestive issue. And when the doctors do all the testing, they find out that it's a mass, or it's abdominal bleeding, or it's something that really is terminal. And then the question is, well, we doctors believe that you really need to look. And that the amount of emotion that just blows up because they would never have expected that. And that is hard because then they have to make that decision.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
decision is never easy to begin with,
Right. Right.
right? And so, and then what happens is, which, I talked to, we had Canal, right? I talked to him this past week. I don't understand why Teddy died. I don't understand what happened. I need to know. I need to know what was going on with her medically. He's a scientist, right? So, but the problem is that many of us will never know.
Well, that goes to this idea that we feel so out of control when this is happening. We
Right,
Any little bit of information that grounds us gives us the smallest sense of control or mastery in a situation where we feel completely at the mercy of powers
right,
greater than us, and that's nobody likes to be there. We like to feel like we kind of have a grip on what's happening, and when a catastrophic illness hits with great suddenness, we get thrown because we didn't see it coming, we
right.
didn't expect it. Here it is. We have to decide whether or not to euthanize, and what happens
Right.
if we don't, and how long do they have, and is it going to be
Or
painful if
do
we
they
don't do
have,
it?
right?
Yeah,
Exactly. All those questions.
yeah,
Mhm.
and so
Mhm.
and another thing that comes to mind is, there's degrees of unexpectedness
Right,
because, like, my dogs, last few dogs, they've been chronically ill
right,
for a while. Like, they were Chihuahuas. They had congestive heart failure that was going, in many cases, went on for more than a couple years. And you think it's under control. And there's that word again. You think it's under control. And then all of a sudden, they go into crisis.
right,
And it feels unexpected, even though you've been told for some time that could happen. It could be a slow decline, or it
right,
could be a collapse.
right.
And when it happens, it's still absolutely startling
Yeah.
because we cajole ourselves into believing that we've still got time. We've
And
still
and
got
we're and
time.
we're taking care of them, right? We're
Yeah, and
doing
we're
the best we
certainly doing
can to taking care of
everything
them.
we can. We do
Yeah.
everything we can.
So this should continue, right?
Yeah,
But
that.
uh,
But then, all of a sudden. So let's go to her next one, which is also, her concern is that that her grief is what holds the memory of her beloved friend close. And if she stops feeling the pain of grief, she's going to lose that connection.
and that's not true. We all
Yeah,
know
that's not
that.
true.
I mean, it's what's happened is that's what she's grieving now. I mean, it just happened, right? A month ago,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like, or maybe a little over a month ago. And so that's more what she's struggling with is that journey of grief. I mean, she was probably in shock. She probably had some denial. I mean, this happened in a surgery.
that's
She
grief.
she
Yeah,
would not have anticipated that. And then, so she's thinking now, oh my God, this is, I loved, I loved River. And if I I can't stop thinking about that because that's the last piece of end of life for River that she's experiencing. That doesn't mean that she will lose him. He is with her and he will always be in her heart and he will always be in her soul. It's that transition from having them physically with her, River physically there, and in spirit. And that's a
Well,
hard transition.
yeah, and it's a process that has its own steps, and
Right.
it can't be forced. And what I think I said to her was, his memory is largely secured, but now by the pain of grief. Eventually, it will be secured by the enduring love that you shared.
Exactly.
That's how you will hold it eventually, and it'll bring gratitude. It'll bring a smile when you think
Mhm.
of River, but that is a process that we don't control. You just try
Yeah.
to allow it to happen. But and there's also an element of when we're grieving, we are our memory is scattered oftentimes. Our
Oh,
ability to
of course.
concentrate, our whole cognitive area, our cognitive sphere is a mess sometimes, and so it feels like I have to cling to whatever is going to keep me close to them,
Right.
but that all settles down
It does.
over time, and the memories become clearer, the feelings of connection become more positive,
Mhm.
and like you said, we hold them in our hearts. We don't hold them in the pain of grief
Exactly.
forever.
And so she is not betraying her River by thinking about his or grieving for him, think about his seventh life, because there's all these nine, I think it was 9 years she had with him,
Yeah,
all nine
yeah,
years of memories that were amazing,
yeah.
and having gratitude and how much he loved her and she loved him.
And they're not going anywhere. And then the
No,
last point she makes, and I have to smile because we hear this so much, is what if I smile? What if I go for a walk in the sunshine? What if I go out with friends and have a good time? Am I betraying my beloved lost friend? And it, this is one of those things that it's pretty easy to convince a person that their deceased loved one would not want them.
oh, they want you to be
Yeah,
okay.
they would not want you to be devastated for the rest of your time here.
Yeah.
They might, and I say, they might want you to be upset for a bit. Like, I want
But
people to grieve.
hey,
I
we
want
had a
people to
good
grieve for
life.
me. Yeah, but like, I don't
We,
want when I pass, and I assume that I will pass before my son and his wife, and
and
all of
your
the other people.
grandson.
Yeah, I don't want them to put on black clothes and mope around for the rest of their lives.
No.
No, I want them to be very upset briefly, and then
And take the memories of you
yeah,
with them.
and
And
then yeah, then remember me with fondness and go on and live a great life. That's what we want.
well, and animals are even different, well, more different, right? Because they are so evolved, and they would want you, if you want, to
Hmm.
have and take on and love another animal.
Sure. Yeah.
They think
Yeah.
that that would be great. That
Yeah.
would be fine. And if you smile, they're going to smile too.
Yep. Yep.
And
So
also, she talks about self care, right?
yes, self
So,
care as well. Yep. That's like it's hard which it is, and with that, I think you have to force the basics.
you
You
eat
got it.
well,
Yeah.
try to get rest,
Yeah.
try to
Try to keep
exercise,
somewhat of a normal schedule.
routine.
Yeah, take care of any dependents who,
Mhm.
or make appropriate arrangements to help with their care. And do all the activities of daily living, like make sure you keep up with your personal hygiene and
Right.
eating and all those kind, moving to at least to some extent, because you have to, sometimes you have to really force yourself to take care of the basics so that you are strong enough and resilient enough to just keep going forward. That
Well,
can be
and
very hard.
oh, it's very hard, and it's a kind of a reactive depression, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
depression creates passivity. Passivity creates more
Yep.
depression. So it is really hard to try to take care. You may eat a little more chocolate,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's
And
fine.
sometimes I feel like what you want to do is manage yourself the way you would manage a dependent who was going through this hard time. Like just try to actually set a schedule and make sure that you cook and eat and do that for yourself as though you were doing it for
or
someone who
support
was a
somebody.
loved one who was dependent on you, because you are dependent on you and you've got to take care of yourself. But it can be, and also like don't punish yourself if you miss a meal or
Yeah,
you're sleeping a little bit more or whatever. But try to take good care of
and
yourself.
try to get the supports around you
Yeah.
that are helpful for you.
Yep.
And if
Yep.
there's somebody that you're a little wary about, or they have said something that is not the best, they don't mean, but they say something you don't like, don't be around them. Just
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that caring of others that understand you.
Yep. So we want to thank Suzanne very much for sending this letter. It was brief, but it
But
had
it had
some really really
punch. Yeah, a lot
important
of stuff.
points for discussion.
And
And she mentions bringing them up at the next group. That's fine to do.
yeah,
And one of the things that I will do in that meeting is check in with people and see how many people resonate with these
and
concerns,
all of them,
because they
right?
do, they will.
The other thing I want to do is shout out Rochester. Grew up in
Uh,
Western New York. My nephew was a doctor in
oh, okay,
Rochester.
that's where Suzanne is from. Yes, okay, okay. And so, did you want to bring up another situation, Nancy?
Well, I mean, I think part of it is I, it's difficult. The euthanasia thing is so difficult because I think most people we all know have guilt, no matter
Hmm.
what.
Yeah,
You know, I
most
would
but not all.
hope,
Right.
right? Um, and it also, if you're with a general practice, I think it's a little different because if you're going and you've had your dog or cat have been seen by a practitioner for a long time and there's illness and then there is a realization that maybe the time is there and then it's sometimes a little bit better to I mean a little bit easier
Sure.
because you have the doctor that you've had for many years and that you trust them, right? The ERs are different, a little bit different because you know the doctors don't know anything about the pet parents that are coming in, and sometimes ERs it's a very grave situation,
Yeah.
and so I think that unfortunately there's a little more like angst or fear or anxiety and especially when they're asked, hey, we think that this is the best thing to do. So the
Well, also
hope is,
there's also so much more. I shouldn't make this generalization because it may not be the case, because many practices are very pressured for time, but there's the pressure for time
yeah,
can be so very strong in an ER, because the ones who are waiting are maybe in crisis as well.
yes,
So
and
there's more
right.
pressure.
And I think, unfortunately, I mean, at the moment, you're not going to think about that, right? When it's your dog or your
Yeah.
cat, and you have to make that decision, you're not thinking about what five, two, three, four, five people out there in the waiting area that are trying also to get help. And so it's just a difficult situation. And
Yeah.
hopefully, the staff will allow some time,
Yeah.
for the parents to just be with their loved one for a while. And sometimes it's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
So, but it's just an awareness. I mean, it's never easy. It's not easy to make a euthanasia decision, even when you've had a lot of support. It's anticipatory. You know that your dog or cat are dying, and that's the other thing. It's a watershed, right? So, like probably with Isabel um, and Abigail, what happened was there was a whole bunch of things going. They had chronic things, but then all of a sudden something happened to make something else happen to make something else happen, or medications. You could one
Yeah.
medication for one kid, like Rosie had kidney medication. She got cancer. The cancer pill would kill the kidneys. So there
Yeah.
was nothing to be done. So
Yeah.
there's all of these very complex things happening. So,
And there's the whole idea that there comes a point where we can't fix it
No,
is
we can't
so
fix it.
difficult. We can't
That's
we
right.
can't fix it. There's
We're not
nothing
going to be
more
able
to
to
do.
fix it.
And so that's
We can only
so
do the
very
best we
difficult.
can.
Yeah.
And then, hopefully, you know, a lot of times that's why I had to work with Cannell about what what the decision he wanted to make sure the decision he made to euthanize Teddy was the right one.
Right. Yep. Yep.
And so, but this is what we do, and hopefully people get support,
Yep.
through podcasts like ours or a book or others books to understand some of this because it is so emotionally
Yep.
upsetting.
So in saying goodbye, a couple of things. One is I want to remind people to please subscribe, leave a comment, thumbs up. Also, an announcement: we just signed a deal to have the book become an audiobook. so so that will come out sometime, I think, this year.
That would be great.
And
That's
yeah,
great.
so that's great. And it's also in the process of being published in Polish, by a Polish book publisher. And as of course, Nancy, it's published in Korean too. So
Yes, it is.
if anybody knows a Spanish publishing house
We
that
would
would
like to
be
know that.
interested in taking on the project of translating and publishing the book in Spanish, we'd love to hear from you because we know that it would be helpful to many people if they could read it in that language as well. So anyway, thanks as always, Nancy, for the
We will see you
conversation,
next
and we'll
week, and
see
I
you.
hope you have a good trip.
All right, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Take care,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.